Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to our coffee times to talk about horror, and today I bring you my May TBR pile.
It's coffee time!
So for the month of May, I am still following the same strategy that I have been following this year, which is to include new releases, some sort of book on my Kindle, some sort of audiobook, try to mix it up a little bit so that I target all my book sources and also of course my physical TBR pile. Now the month of April was a little bit different because it was old school April, but even then the month of April turned out to be a nightmare because my work got a little bit crazy and I had to do extra hours, and also we are currently emptying the 3 rooms that we have in the attic because we're going to do some changes, we're going to renovate it, and it has to be completely empty for the workers that are gonna come and fix everything. So it's been a challenge because I had a lot of stuff up there and we've been emptying things and trying to, get rid of things, and it's a process. So I didn't get to read as much as I would have wanted for the old school April readathon, and I still have 1 more week to go, so I hope to still be able to tackle a couple of those books that I have on my TBR pile, but I know for sure 2 of the books that I have on my April TBR pile, I'm not going to be able to get to them, and so I have decided to move them to May. And that is because I really want to read those books. I have not prioritized them because those fulfilled the less prompts, so I have prioritized the books that had the most prompts so that I could still get as many points as I could for my team, even though I was reading less than I would have hoped. So the 2 that I have moved to May are books that I really want to read, so I'm really excited for those. I'm gonna start with them and then we'll see the rest of the books that I plan to read during May. First we have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and I have been dreaming about reading this book and avoiding spoilers and avoiding anybody talking about the book because I really want to go into it without knowing much about it and just hopefully be pleasantly surprised. So this is book 0.5 in the Hunger Games series, and it is one of my favorite YA dystopian series, so I'm really excited for this one. And it also follows Haymitch, which was one of my favorite characters from the books and the movie. I think Woody Harrelson did a great job impersonating this character, so I am really curious to read his basically origin story until he became the grumpy but lovely Haymitch that we met in the Hunger Games trilogy. I was so excited about this book, you guys, that I pre-ordered the exclusive Waterstones edition twice. I did it twice, and I did not even realize until both copies of the book showed up at my door, and I was like, oh, I ordered it twice. But everything turned out fine because one of my friends whose birthday is coming up this summer wanted the book, so I just sent it to her as an early birthday gift. So it has found a home, and I'm glad about that because I was like, oh shit, I ordered the same book twice because I have no self-control. I think this is one of the first books that I'm going to be reading in May because I really don't want to postpone it any longer. It was already hard enough for me to make the strategic decision to push this to May because I knew I was not going to have time to read everything that I wanted in April, so I just can't wait any longer. This follows the 50th annual Hunger Games, and in this one it is also the Quarter Quell year, which means that there is double the tributes from the districts. We all know that Haymitch is from District 12 and that he is one of the ones that had to go to this specific Hunger Games, so I don't want to know anything more about the book. I just want to jump into it. I did hear that it can be really sad towards the end, so I don't know what I am getting myself into. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for this. But I'll have to be. Come May, I'm gonna have to be emotionally ready for this. The other one that I'm pushing from April to May is How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold, and this one doesn't come up until July 2025, so I am still on time to read this arc. But this is one that I was really excited about because it just sounds perfect for me. It has all the tropes that I like in a book. 7 authors enter a manor. Will they be able to survive? When a legendary horror author passes, a group of writers are invited to his home. They don't know exactly why they're there, but they will soon find out. They are there because they have to read in front of them the last will and testament, and all of these people are somehow connected to the deceased author. When they arrive to this big mansion, they are presented with a game. They have to play a game, and basically they have to solve a riddle to be able to move to the next room. If they are not able to keep progressing from room to room, the manor will take them. So this sounds like perfect because we have a locked mystery room, like murder mystery, where we have strangers that are all locked in this mansion, plus they have to play a game, and it's about solving riddles. I'm like, can this get any better? So I'm really excited for this book, and it's also another one that I had to move to May because it fulfilled the less prompts for Old School April, so I decided to postpone it to May, but it's another one that I'm really excited to read. The next book that I'm going to be reading is actually going to be delivered to me today, but I don't have it yet, and it's called When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. You guys know I really enjoyed Mary and also Nestlings. They're very, very different, and I like them because it is very uncomfortable, weird horror, and his books are like no other books I've read before, and I think that's why I am so compelled to keep reading them. And this one sounded really good, and it's possibly going to have, obviously, werewolves, as we can see in the cover, and I am in a werewolf kick, especially after reading Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison, which has been one of my new favorite books of all times, so give me more werewolves. One night, Jess, who is a struggling actress, finds a little boy, 5-year-old boy, hiding in the bushes next to her house, and after a bloody encounter with the father, they become runaways. They decide to run away together. As they are trying to run away from the father, Jess realizes that there is a lot of weird accidents happening around them, and I'm not exactly sure who's going to be the werewolf here, or if somebody at all turns into a werewolf, or if it's a metaphor, because if you read Nestlings, you kind of expect the unexpected from this author, to be honest, so I don't know what to expect, but this is one of the books that I was most anticipating this year. I have this book pre-ordered since 2024, so I am ready to finally dig into it. The next two books are part of a reading vlog that I want to do in the month of May, because I want to catch up with David Sodergren books. So I'm going to be reading 2 of his books that I own but I have not read yet. My goal is to finish reading all of his books in 2025 and then do a ranking of his books. He has another book coming out, I think, towards the end of the year, because this guy just never stops writing, and I love that for me. Not gonna lie, but I really want to catch up and do a ranking. The first one I'm going to be reading is Nightshoot, which is one of the ones that I am the most excited about because the plot sounds like something that could potentially be a new favorite of mine when it comes to his books. A group of desperate students that are filmmakers decide to break into Crawford Manor to do a night shoot. They have no choice, their lead actress has quit, they have no much money left, so their only kind of way to finish this movie is to do the night shoot inside of this manor, so they decide to sneak in. However, obviously this Crawford Manor has a past, there's evil inside, and maybe not even one of them is gonna make it out alive, knowing David Sodergren. He is ruthless and merciless, so I'm really excited for this one because it has a theme that I really like, which is filmmaking and horror. So yeah, let's see, but I'm expecting it to be messed up. And the other one that I'm gonna be reading by David Sodergren is called And by God's Hand You Shall Die. And this one I'm a little bit more like a skeptic about because it's a little bit more about religion, which is something that doesn't always connect well with me. And it is splatterpunk, so it's going to be a lot more messed up. So I don't know what I'm getting myself into with this one, to be fair, but I do want to give it a chance because so far I have not hated any of his books, but I have a feeling this might not be one of my favorites, but nevertheless I want to still read it. On holy ground and built on the ashes of an older church, we have now a windowless brothel. So that's kind of like the setup of the story. We have a priest as well in the story. He's Father Patrick, and nobody believes him because they think that he is a crazy priest that has lost his mind, and he is starting to talk about the apocalypse that is coming upon us. The only person that believes the priest is somebody called Candy, because Candy has had visions, so she knows that something evil is coming. This one I think has supernatural undertones, but it is splatterpunk and it is a little bit more religious than what I normally read, so I don't know. Let's see how it goes, but I think, you know, being David Sodergren and me really enjoying his writing is probably a book that I'm still gonna enjoy, but I'm a little bit scared that I'm not gonna love it as much as his other books. Another book that I'm gonna be reading, but that is still on its way to me, it was just shipped to me today, it's The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica, because I really want to read this book. And I was checking Amazon the other day and I was like, oh, it's on discount. They like dropped the price 32%, and I'm like, you know what? It's time now to get it, because I really loved Tender as the Flesh, and I know this one is going to be very different, especially once you have had a book by an author that really connected with you and that you really loved. Finding another one that gives you the exact same feeling is hard sometimes, but I have high hopes for this one as well. I don't know much about this book, but I remember that it is in a convent where there are nuns in them, and one of them has been deemed as unworthy, and I think she's being kept in the jail there, and she's trying to write her life's story, which whatever material she can find in the cell, sometimes she has to write her story with her own blood. I think a stranger comes at some point into the convent as well, and I believe, if I remember correctly, the apocalypse has broken loose on the outside. So this one sounds like another religious horror, but same as with the David Sodergren book, I have still hopes for it because the authors of the book was a favorite of mine, and because I do like to have this nun that has been kind of casted away and she's trying to tell her story. So what does she have to tell? What are the other nuns hiding? Like, I have a lot of questions about this book, and having questions before you go into a book is a good thing. I think this book does have social commentary. You know, Tender as the Flesh also had a commentary, obviously. I think it's very obvious, the one that that book was trying to get across. But this one I think is about climate change or something like that, about how we are killing the earth basically. So I'll be excited to see how she weaves that kind of theme into the story. The next book that I have on my May TBR pile is an audiobook that I have been meaning to listen to for some time, and that is Sociopath. And I've had this one on my wish list of my audiobooks for a long time, and I think it's a good time now for a non-fiction memoir, and it's one of the things that I love to listen to the most because I feel like it's a lot more personal, and it's also narrated by the author. The author in this book talks about how she finally accepted her sociopathy and, you know, kind of retells a little bit how her life was and the things that made her think that something was happening to her that made her different, and how she came to the realization of what was going on with her. And I find the theme of sociopaths really interesting. Like, everything psychological I find really interesting. I think that's what I also like true crime so much, because there is a lot of psychological things that go into that, and the killers have a very different psyche from the regular person, obviously. And I think that's one of the things that I'm always the most intrigued about. I think also hearing a story from somebody that lacks empathy and somebody that sees the world in such a very different way from the way that I do, it might be something really interesting. So I think this is going to be an audiobook that I'm going to thoroughly enjoy. And the last book that I have on my May TBR pile, because I decided that 8 books was enough and I wanted to make sure to get to the 8 books, so I don't want to, you know, overdo it with my TBR pile. I can always add more. That's always my mentality. You can always add more if you go through the 8 books. But the last one is a YA thriller, because I also want to start reading all of those YAs that I got at YAG last year. And I have decided to start with one that I'm very curious about. So it's this one, you guys. It's Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. Everybody knows Maureen Johnson from the Truly Devious series, but I never read it. So people have recommended it to me, and I think it might be something for me as well. But because I already have this one and it is a standalone, I think it's best if I just give this one a chance and see if I like her writing, I like her characters. I got this one at YAG and I was really lucky because it was a signed copy and it was only £10 at Waterstones. So I'm really happy to have it and finally give it a chance. Our main character is Marlo, and apparently while she was house sitting, she had an accident and she ended up burning the place down. And she was kind of considered a little bit of an arsonist. I don't know what happened there. I guess I'll figure it out while I'm reading the book. But obviously after that, she didn't really have a job house sitting anymore, you know, and nobody really trusted her until she found a summer job at the Morning House. This is a mansion that was built in the 1920s and then it was kind of abandoned. So sometimes people tour the house, but it is a very low risk when it comes to fires. So that's why Maureen is hired to go to the house. I think she's hired to do like house visits to people, and while she's doing that, she realizes that there's a lot of death in this mansion as well. So I'm hoping for an entertaining YA mystery thriller. I'm not expecting the horror to be over the top or anything because it is YA, but I just want to see also, like I said before, if I vibe with the author, and then I will probably start the Truly Devious series. But I think before I do and I start buying more books, which, you know, any excuse is valid to get more books because I've been tempted many times to get the whole series, but I have restrained myself. I think I want to see first how her writing is and if I like this one, and then I can jump into the other series. And those are my reading plans for the month of May. I'm very excited because I feel like the month of May, every single book that I have handpicked is a book that I'm really excited about for different reasons, and I have several authors in the month of May that I have read before and really enjoyed. So I am expecting May to be a really good reading month, so pray for me. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Also, let me know if you read Maureen Johnson before, and if maybe you've read all of her books. Let me know if getting into the series is a good idea. Is it very different from this standalone that I'm gonna read? Let me know down below. Thank you guys as always so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support, and I hope to see you all as always in our next coffee time. Bye!